Hey there, and welcome back, and if you're new, welcome in. So for today's video, I'm pretty much going to be talking about why Kokomi is somewhat of a must-pull, due to the fact that she is the strongest, if not one of the strongest healers in the entire game. So pretty much, let's just talk about her kit real quick. So when it comes to her kit, you usually want to have as much HP as you can. Attack, you could not really worry about. Same with defense. Elemental mastery, technically you can worry about, and then there's also energy recharge to ensure that she has enough energy particles to level up her, not level up to, fill up her ultimate. When it comes to weapons, Thrilling Tales is her best in slot, but honestly, there is the everlasting moonlight glow. Pretty much this one, her quote unquote designated weapon. It's good, but even then, Thrilling Tales just blows it out of the water. And on top of that, it's a 3-star weapon too, which then the bonus itself is extremely well. And then when it comes to her artifact sets, pretty much Ocean Hued, pretty much the clam set is her pretty much best in slot as well, because when it comes to the flower, always HP. Plume should always be attack, since those two never change. However, for the sands and circlet, you usually want HP unless you want her to be a DPS, which technically she does have some capability. You can go with hydro, but I'd recommend just for healers, just HP, and then for the circlet, just healing bonus with preferably HP percent, flat HP, energy recharge, or EM, or elemental mastery, I should say, since that will then help her technically recuperate her burst faster, or get her burst faster, which is extremely nice. And on top of that, the clam set at the 2-piece, you have a healing bonus, but let's say you still don't have like a full 4-piece set, you could technically go with a 2-piece clam set and a 2-piece maiden set, I believe it was called. I don't even use it anymore, so I kind of forgot what it was called. But on top of that, another reason why the Ocean Cute or clam set is extremely good is depending on how much she heals will depend on how much a little bubble is gonna do damage. Because whenever she's healing, prime example, 4-piece set, this little bubble right here, the more heals pretty much she does, the more damage that little bubble is gonna do when it pops. And when that pops, it's gonna be doing physical damage. But even then, it's just some extra damage overall. So it's an extremely good set. And I think the maximum healing damage, I guess it's capable of doing, it depends on how much she's able to heal. So the more she heals, the more damage it kind of does. And she doesn't even need to be on field, like I mentioned with Raiden. Or I showed with Raiden. As for constellations, I'm just going to summarize them real quick. I'm not going to read through them since I don't really recommend getting any constellations. She's extremely well. Even at C0, she's still kind of one of the best healers in the game. So with C1, just lets her do more damage. C2 technically helps with her healing, but like I mentioned, she already heals a lot, so I don't really recommend it. C3 levels up her burst by 3 levels, but even then, it's at 888. 2 level 8s, they're extremely good. C4 just increases her attack speed and technically does a little bit more damage, and she recovers energy, but even then, don't recommend it. C5, her skill is leveled up by 3 levels, but like I mentioned, she doesn't really need it. And then C6, she just does additional hydro damage, which technically, like I mentioned, you can have her as a DPS / healer, but even then, it's constellations, you don't need them at all. And when it comes to her talents, Normal attack, accidentally leveled it up, but you can ignore this completely unless you want to have her like as a DPS. I mean, you could. And go for it if you want, but normally you could ignore normal attack. You want to prioritize her skill first, then her burst. And then when it comes to this one, her first passive skill I think you get, which is whenever she uses her skill has a duration of 12 seconds. Let's say once it's like 11 seconds, if you activate your burst, this skill then activates, which then allows her skill to then refresh in a sense. So technically you can push this from 12 seconds to 23 to 24 seconds, which will then last longer than the cooldown technically. But then again, it's like you're already going to be having double heals since you're going to slap her skill down and then activate her burst, which the amount of healing is absurd. Now when it comes to Songs of Pearls, this pretty much just normal attack bonus. Pretty much she gains damage as well as technically receives an additional 15% of healing bonus whenever she's in her burst, I believe. And for the princess one, pretty much she just reduces the amount of stamina you use when swimming. And then lastly, this then gives her another further boost to technically her healing bonus, which is a 25% boost, but she technically won't be able to crit since it reduces her crit rate by 100%. So she's constantly going to be in the negatives. Is it possible to crit with her? Yes. Yes, it is. People have tried it and people have succeeded. Do I recommend it? I mean, if you want, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But even then, you usually want to prioritize HP, healing bonus, and energy recharge. And then technically there's some hydro damage. But if you want to make her a full technically DPS, you can just switch, wrong one, the circulate for a hydro. And technically have her as well with the, whatchamacallit, Oceanid Clam, or the Clam set pretty much. This then kind of technically allows her to do more damage if you want to have her as a DPS, but like I mentioned, this is like a little extra passive damage overall when healing. So Constellations, useless in my opinion. Don't get them. Artifact sets, the Clam set, best in slot. You can use the Maiden one, but if so, just go with the 2-piece if you don't have a 4-piece set. And for her talents, normal attack you could ignore and then just level up first her skill, then her burst. So pretty much I'm going to be showing how much she's able to heal with what her current setup is. 36,000 for HP. Her weapon, it's going to be a 3-star, by the way, which chances are you're probably going to have a few lying around unless you already fused them into different weapons, which I mean, I wouldn't recommend, but okay, it's fine. And on top of that, she's a hydro character, so she's an extremely good, whatchamacallit, she's good for, what are they called, bloom teams, there we go. Since you can just slap it on and then I don't need to worry about, oh damn, she got hit that much. Right there I just healed what, 5,000? Almost 6,000? And on top of that, Nahida get a little attack boost too, thanks to pretty much Thrilling Tales, since whenever she's on the field, chances are you're going to be swapping into Kokomi, slapping down her skill, and then switching back to your main DPS or sub DPS. And then chances are when you're swapping, this passive then activates, they get an increase to attack by 48% for 10 seconds, which then allows them to technically do more damage, which is honestly pretty cool. Like I mentioned, slap, boom, 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 attack, healing, and on top of that, it helps since what the general cores themselves are going to be doing damage to your characters as well. She just took 3 hits and she's still not dead. By the way, her HP is maximum is 16, but even then she's still alive. Whoa. Anyways, here's another prime example. I think that's tick 3, so 3 ticks of her burst, and she's already maxed out. Which way? Keep in mind, she's what? Her HP 36, like I mentioned. Her Thrilling Tales has a substat of, technically a substat or a second stat of HP bonus, which similar to her quote-unquote best in slot weapon or designated weapon, but even then, Thrilling Tales just blows it out of the water with the additional, what, 48% boost to their attack. Artifact sets, like I mentioned, you can just have HP, and then healing bonus, and then your constellations ignore completely, and then talents, they're fine. So overall, like I mentioned, she is one of the strongest healers, if not the strongest healer in the game. Unless, what, in Fontaine, in like, what, next 2 updates, maybe? They bring another character, even then, they're going to have to compete with her. She's honestly extremely good and hard to beat. Because what, there are other healers, but even they kind of, in my opinion, fail a bit. There is Noelle, who when you have the shield, she heals, but even then, it's slow, even though I like her. There's Diona. She's an extremely good 4-star healer because she heals, provides shields, and on top of that, when a character's in the shield, they get an increase in speed. But then her healing isn't as good as Kokomi. It's capable of semi-matching it, but even then, it still falls a bit short, or at least mine does. There is Benny, technically. He's also a healer too. But his burst technically stops healing your character when he's about 70-ish%, I believe, of his maximum. There is Zhongli, but you have to C6 the guy, which honestly, shut up, I don't recommend. Who else is another? There is Chi-Chi. But then, like I mentioned, she's also a good healer, but if you don't have her, if you're lucky enough to not have her, and then lose the 50-50 to like the other characters, Kokomi beats her extremely well, even if Chi-Chi also has the ocean clam set. Kokomi still beats her by a landslide. Well, not a landslide, but by a decent amount. Then who else is another healer? Technically, Goro has a little passive, but that's only for Geos. Then there's Cookie, which also works good with Bloom/Aggravate teams, I believe. But even then, her healing is based off her max HP and Elemental Mastery, so that's 2 stats you need to focus on, while Kokomi, you just need to slap as much HP as you can. And technically healing bonus, and then you're fine. Another character that heals, technically he does, but he's not even an option. Another character, I think Dory, but her numbers are extremely underwhelming. Although I myself don't have her build. I just seen from other characters, like in co-op, their healings, in the nicest way possible, aren't good, because Dory's numbers are not the best. But that's just how it is. Although there is Baiju, which I have technically yet to check him out, but I will eventually. Then there is Yao Yao. I don't think she heals. Although Kave technically does heal, but only in a Bloom team. So the only other character that might be able to match with her, which with Kokomi, would probably be Baiju. But let's say you don't get Baiju because you lost 50-50. I really recommend Kokomi. She's, like I mentioned, one of the best, if not the best healer in the game. And on top of that, her best weapon in slot is technically a 3-star, which chances are you're going to be able to refine it extremely fast. So another long summary of long story short, just slap a lot of HP and she's healing the party. Give her the ocean, the clam set. She's going to be healing your team and doing some additional damage due to the little bubble that it has. And you can just completely ignore her normal attack and just level up her skill and burst. And boom, just she's right there. Because what, she was able to heal for 5,700, 5,600 or 800 around there. Almost 6,000. Which honestly, what? She was able to fully heal Raiden, who has what, 19,000 with her skill activating technically 3 times. Because what, each tick or activation or whatever you want to call it did around 5,700. So what, does it 3 times, that's 15. And then with the 700s, that's another 1,400. With the additional 7, that's around an additional 2,000. So that's, she's probably healing, with 3 ticks, she can do about maybe 17,000. So pretty much by the 4th tick, Raiden is going to be fully maxed out. That's why it's like, and if you're doing co-op too, she's an extremely good healer. So she herself can technically heal an entire party, unless her healing is not able to somehow match with the amount of damage the boss is doing. But even then, Kokomi, really, but just, I can't stop recommending her. She's an extremely good character. And then the 3 stars, in my opinion, aren't that good. Technically, Rosaria is good for like a freeze comp. Yawn Fake, and you can make her a DPS. And then there is Faruzan, but you kind of have to C6 her because her C0 niche is not that good. Weapon, you can just try going for Remembrance, and you could ignore Everglow or Moonglow. But that's about it. If you don't want Wanderer and you don't have a good healer, go for Kokomi. As for Wanderer, I'm going to be making a video about him later. So if you ended up enjoying this video, just make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And until next time. Also, I really can't recommend her. It's like, you can just keep her at C0 too. Just saying. Cheap investment. Anyways, that's about it. Later, nerds. Take care.